Chapter 5, Section 4 is about writing a function rule. So by the end of this lesson, you should be able to write a function rule given a table or a real-life situation. You can write a rule for a function by analyzing a table of values. Look for a pattern relating the independent and dependent variables. So you're going to deal with two types of relationship, a linear relationship that we're going to talk about first, and then a quadratic relationship that we'll talk about next. So a linear relationship, you're eventually going to make an equation that looks like y equals mx plus b. And if you remember from last year, the m stands for your slope, and the b stands for your y-intercept. And remember, slope is just fancy language for rate of change, how quickly something's changing. And your y-intercept is like your starting point. So two quick things that you're going to do is find the first difference. When this is the same, that's your slope. And the difference that I'm talking about is the difference between your y values. So how do you move from 5 to 6? Well, you add 1. And then from 6 to 7, you add 1. 7 to 8, you add 1. When this number right here is the same, that tells you that it's a linear relationship, and that number is your m. And then, remember when we talked about y-intercepts, it's where it crosses the y-axis on a graph. And at that point, x is always 0. So we have to figure out where x is 0 to find the b part. So sometimes that value will actually be in the table. In this table, it's not. So if you notice, all of these go up by 1 as well. So we can go backwards 1. And if we go to 0, we got to go backwards 1 with our y values too. So instead of adding 1, I'm going to subtract 1. So that tells me that 4 is my y-intercept. So now I have enough information to make an equation. My slope is 1, and my y-intercept is 4. And this right here models this entire table. I could use it to find the next value, plug it in, I get 5 plus 4, which is 9. Or I could use it to find like the 100th value, which would be 104. So now the only other relationship you'll see in this class is a quadratic one. And quadratic is when you have something squared. And a double check for this is your second difference is the same. And for this table, we need to fill in some extra pieces of information. If this goes 1 to 3, we got to figure out what 2 is. And we got to figure out what 4 is and what 5 is. Or you can just stop and look at what kind of patterns do you notice. How do I go from 1 to 1? How can I go from 3 to 9, from 6 to 36, from 9 to 81? And hopefully you pick up the pattern that this equals whatever your x is squared. Most of the ones you're going to do have a linear relationship, so that's the one we're going to focus the most on. So write a function rule for each table. So the first thing I'm going to notice is all of these go up by 1. That's good. And then try to find your first difference here. So I'm going to add 1, add 1, add 1. So remember that's your slope. And then the other thing you want to look at is where x equals 0, not where y equals 0. So this is not that important. But remember, sometimes you'll have to go backwards. So for this one, instead of adding 1, I'm going to subtract 1. So it's negative 2. So my equation is y equals 1x minus 2. Let's try this next one. So again, find the difference. I'm going to add 2, add 2, add 2. So we know it's linear, that's my slope. And then I got to go backwards to find my y-intercept. So when x is 0, y would be 0. So you can write this as y equals 2x plus 0, or just y equals 2x. I want you guys to try this one on your own. So then the next thing is I'm going to give you a story, and you have to come up with an equation to model it. So a carpenter buys finishing nails by the pound. Each pound of nails costs $1.19. Write a function to describe this relationship. So our nails cost $1.19 for every pound. And I don't know how many pounds I'm buying, but using this relationship, I can figure out how much my nails are going to cost me. And you could make a table, how many pounds of nails you buy and how much they cost. So if I buy 1 pound, it's $1.19. If I buy 2 pounds, it's $2.30. $0.08, and I could keep on going. But our difference here is that $1.19. That's what it's changing by every time. And then you can easily figure out question B, which says, how much do 12 pounds of finishing nails cost? So all you got to do is plug this in and type that into your calculator. So 1.19 times 12 gives me $14.28. And remember, this is in dollars, $14.28. So that's it. Try this one on your own. It's a little harder, but you should remember some of this stuff from last year and go back and do this table right here. Write down any questions you have and we can go over them on Monday. Have a good weekend.